Hello. I was gonna let Dom do it, but
Oh, I thought you were because I'm just accustomed to it when you're in the room.
I said hello, so why don't you go ahead and kick it off, buddy?
Well, hello everybody. Despite the very awkward intro, we hope that you are all doing well this morning, and thank you all for joining us. I've got a panel today to talk about the independent comic solicitations for this month of October. And let's go ahead and kick it off with my person to the right. Who are you?
I am the uncanny Omar. My home is here, near mint condition. I don't ever leave. Even when I leave, I'm not gone. But here I am today talking about independent comics with my buddy Dom and Taylor Talks Comics. And for the first time, making first appearance here on Near Mint Condition. Who are you, Joe? And why do you love comics so much?
Yes, thank you, Fabi. It was really cool to see Dom, first of all, get integrated it into the channel and start working on it, because I was friends with him beforehand, and then I was just honored when he invited me on, because I've been watching the channel for years, and it sounds hyperbolic, it's true. And just generally, thank you. Yes, started out as like Joe Loves Comics, was just like a social media branding, and then a couple of years ago, I decided to launch my own podcast. It's called Joe Talks Comics. So keeping it second in line with the branding, available on like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the usual places, and just talking with friends about the comics that we've been really enjoying lately. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. And yeah, again, just thank you, Dom, again for inviting me on, and Omar for hosting this, and excited to chat.
You're very welcome. What was your very first comic, if you don't mind me asking?
The Flash, New 52 by Francis Mellapore and Brian Rotolato. Yeah, because I was watching the when the CW Flash show was like a couple of seasons in, I started watching it, and then eventually picked up like the first volume of the comic, the Mellapore comic, and then it was for a couple of years I was just sort of mainly reading like big event collected editions that I'd heard of. I was like, oh, I've heard of Avengers vs. X-Men. I just saw it, and then eventually I started really getting into single issues things about 2018. So ever since then, I've just been like 6 years of just constant LCS visits and single issue buying, and yeah, it's been amazing. So
well, that's awesome. I love that the CW did its job and
I know.
got you hooked, and then you started getting comics. That's the point of these things, I always thought, but that's great. Taylor, what was your first comic, and who are you?
My first comic, it's this. The first comic I ever remember reading was before, like, it was this issue that got beat up a bunch before I could really even read. It was I since have found it in my adult life, a copy of it, but it's like an issue of West Coast Avengers. I forget which number. But before that, I mean, after that, when I was reading comics, Calvin and Hobbes is what got me hooked in comics. And then Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man is what got me into superheroes. But yes, I'm Taylor Talks Comics. I have my own YouTube channel. I'm getting closer and closer to 2,000 subscribers. So anybody that wants to subscribe, please do so. I did just drop a video the other day of talking about my 5 most important comics, kind of talking about my journey of comics and 5 comics that got me hooked into the medium, which is kind of what we're talking about. So that's got a good response to that. So everybody go watch that video, please.
Okay. And that is our panel for the day. And I am going to let Dom of X drive. I'm going to take the back seat today, gentlemen. So hopefully everybody's having a good day. All right, Dom, what are we talking about today? What publishers are we talking about? What solicits, what month? And what does it mean when you say solicits? What's an FOC?
Man, you asked
Explain
me like
the whole comic book industry.
What is a comic book?
So 1937.
Oh, you got the extremity last day of FOC. Thank goodness. Yes, thank you. Yeah, when FOC was yesterday, so hopefully they ordered enough. Yeah, it's kind of almost like print to order. So pretty cool. It's our very first variant cover. So really excited about that.
It is incredibly cool.
Sorry, Dom, I did not mean to interrupt. But what independent comic solicitations are we talking about today?
So to dumb it all down, as Omar mentioned earlier, solicitations are pretty much just publishers giving news sites or people who show product information. These are the comic books that are coming out on this specific month, and all of those products that are in association with due month. We are looking at of course, the October solicitations, as we do or have been now for the last 5-6 months that I've been here on the show. And we are going to look at IDW, Boom, Dark Horse, and Image Comics today, for the top independent publishers in comics. And of course, these will be supplied by the site that I work for, comicreleases.com, your one-stop shop for all release date updates and all of the hardcovers and special collected editions that you can find here on the internets.
Okay, there we go. So thank you, James, for the links. What solicitation are we going to kick it off with?
We are going to kick it off as soon as my desktop allows me to. We're going to kick it off with IDW. Go ahead and scooch that in. We're going to kick it off with IDW October 2024 solicitations. And first off, we got hardcovers. The first one we have is For Better or For Worse, the Complete Library, volume number 9 by Lynn Johnston, retailing at $49.99, 496 pages, and again, a hardcover.
This is a friend of the show, Curtis from the Epic Marvel Podcast, does all the reproduction on this one.
Yeah, I think for this one here, is this the last one that he worked on?
I can't remember if it's if this is the last one, or if there's one more after this.
Volume 10. I know whenever I've had him on the show, he was working on the last one.
Yeah, he's finished the work on the last one. I know that.
It is really cool, and it's really cool that he played a big part of it. I know that he was at San Diego Comic-Con and he got together with Lynn Johnson again. But they have met in the past. Mm-hmm. It's just really cool to do like restoration on work like this and get to meet the creator. And I think it's wonderful that she's seeing her entire library put in a collected edition like this. You know, unfortunately, when it comes to comic strips, I mean, we've lost like Charles Schultz, so he was never able to see that. I mean, he was gone long before they even started that, or that matter, Carl Barks, you know, with the Duck Library. So it really makes me happy when creators are still with us and they see their name on a book and the entire library available.
I'll say one of the cool things about these collections too is that, and I like when comic strip collections do this, but there's annotations in them. So like Lynn Johnston is writing like annotations about maybe like things that were happening in her life during when she was writing a certain strip, or maybe like story ideas or kind of the response to things. So it's kind of fun to read these strips, and then like there's little annotations at the bottom of most pages.
Okay. Oh, what's this Godzilla 70th anniversary? All right, $20.99.
No, next up is Godzilla's 70th anniversary from the creators that you see there, including Matt Frank, Danny Lore, Adam Gorham, James DeCoe, and Joel Jones. This is going to retail for $29.99, 200 pages, standard size hardcover. But this book also includes a reprint of the Best of Godzilla one-shot for those who are looking for some Godzilla comics to read.
This is 9 Titanic first time and beloved Godzilla creators. So James Stokoe's in there. They can't be all of Half Century War, though.
I see Joel Jones. It says it's first issues, too. Yeah, they're putting out... It's a little confusing the way IDW is doing the Godzilla collections, because there's Best of Godzilla, and then what's the other?
The
collection?
library.
Yeah, and they're done in different formats. Like one's by monster, and then one's by chronological order, and then there's another collection that I thought they were starting that was just like different stories, and they've recollected them.
Yeah, I have the library volume 1.
Yeah, and they're all solid. It's just really interesting that they're going about it different ways, and instead of just sticking to like one format. And perhaps it's because it's getting ready to celebrate the 70th anniversary. But I've had viewers that were confused whenever I did my video because they thought it was history library instead of best of. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. These are more like the library ones are more like epic collections. I did a video on this one too on my channel if you want to check it out. But they're more like complete collecting everything IDW's ever done for Godzilla in order.
Dom, can you? There we go. Give me one more zoom in for the old people in the back. And by old people in the back, I mean me. Thank you. That's good. 70 years of Godzilla since 1954. I was gonna say 70 years of comics. No, I don't think so.
This is a big year for Godzilla in comics, though, because I didn't realize it's the 70th anniversary. But there's 4 different publishing companies that are producing Godzilla comics this year. There's Marvel's doing the omnibus, obviously. IDW's doing all their stuff. DC did the
Justice League versus Godzilla versus
Kong versus, and then Titan, I think, did the movie adaptation of the recent Godzilla and Kong comic book. It's kind of wild.
It is like DC did their own thing, Marvel's having the classic stuff, and then IDW. I guess it's all, and then Legendary Comics, right? Legendary Comics does Godzilla
or maybe
stuff.
Maybe that's who I was thinking of that did the movie adaptation.
Yeah. So it's really weird that Godzilla's kind of licensed everywhere, but hey, whatever, more Godzilla better. I just want some of the classic like Arthur Adams stuff like that Dark Horse did. That's what I want. And I want like some of the manga that has never been available here in America. Isn't the 70th anniversary Godzilla hardcover just a hardcover version of the 70th one shot? Was it even a hardcover? Because I didn't see if it was or not.
This is a hardcover.
Okay. Yeah, and it looks like it's standard size too. 6 5/8 by 10 3/16. Yeah. You think we're getting a proper Godzilla Marvel crossover book with the advent of those variant covers and reissues from Marvel? I certainly hope so, man. New Batman Long Halloween title is called The Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween. Yeah. Those titles are so confusing. The deluxe edition of, what was it? Batman, The Last Halloween, Dark Victory, I think is what it was called.
Yep.
It's like
Batman. You got Batwoman, or Batman, Long Halloween, Catwoman When in Rome, deluxe edition.
Like that title is like, who?
It's a mouthful.
It's difficult, right? Like if you're looking for something, is there any reasonably priced way to collect the comic strip books, like for better or worse, if you missed the first few? They seem like something that is never reprinted. I'll go ahead and say, just, having been collecting these collected editions for well over 20 years, Fantagraphics hardly ever, and I mean hardly ever, reprints any of the hardcovers. And when they do, it's very, very small reprints. I think here lately it was the Don Rosa Duck collections that they've reprinted. They did some reprints of the Peanuts hardcovers, box sets.
They've reprinted. They've reprinted quite a few of the Carl Barks collections.
Yeah, but like the Dick Tracy comic strips, or
that's IDW.
Well, was it? Wait, I thought it was the Library of American Literature.
Yeah, that's the imprint with IDW.
Okay. I'm trying to think of the other comic strips that they had at Fantagraphics that they just did not reprint. And it could have been a licensing thing. But once those hardcovers go out of print, it's near impossible for them to reprint them. When they reprint them, though, they are usually in trade paperback format. And that's the way a lot of people... And it just comes to paying money to have it in hardcover format, and they just can't justify it. So they'd rather print it cheaper in trade paperback for people to buy it for like $29.99 instead of $49.99 or whatever the price was. I've only read Half Century War as far as Godzilla comics go, but here the Marvel stuff is fun. Marvel stuff is ridiculously fun.
I can't wait for that.
Like it's so different than, okay, Half Century War is deep and it's got a good story, right? Like following one man's obsession. The Marvel comics are like following the adventures of Dum Dum Dugan, because Marvel did not want to put Nick Fury in the book, and how he's trying to keep Godzilla from destroying a city. And then Godzilla eventually like making friends with like this little kid, Godzilla getting turned to the size of a sewer rat and fighting rats.
It's almost like a Saturday morning cartoon version.
Yeah, that's what, like, yeah, you remember I don't know if y'all are old enough to remember.
I remember it, yeah.
With what's his name? Godzuki, the little Godzilla guy.
Yep. Yeah.
Son or whatever. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. And yes, Godzilla
Half Century War is like the peak of Godzilla comics, I think, and I've read quite a few. So it's all downhill from there. No, there's a lot of good Godzilla comics that I could recommend.
Yeah, I haven't read any.
I'm in print. Oh, you haven't?
I haven't read any Godzilla. Well, mind you, I a few weeks ago I picked up Godzilla versus Power Rangers, the first trade.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think that'll probably be my first because it's like fun. But yeah, apart
Was
from that,
was that printed by Boom? That was a Boom book, right?
I think that's IDW and Boom.
If it was Boom, then that's a 5th publisher this year.
That's nuts.
Everyone wants a
Godzilla.
piece of the
If someone wants to
the
try out
reptile, man.
Godzilla comics, these are affordable. This one is only $20, $19.99. This paperback.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of collecting them too.
Yeah, and it has Half Century War in there, so you can't go wrong with that.
He's Legendary Comics still the license holder for Dune. Do you think we'll ever get the oversized hardcover collected editions, or will they do compendiums? Dune, the graphic novel adaptations, has been printed by Abrams Books, and they've done a hardcover and they've done limited edition slipcases, and they're beautiful books. They're oversized. Sorry, Dom. That was a long conversation about Godzilla. Do go on, sir.
Yeah, we like kaijus and reptiles, so that is 100% appropriate. Next one we've got is Hell, Ink and Water, The Arts of Mike Mignola, which is an oversized hardcover, only 96 pages, but it is $40. Once again, featured there 8x12.
So this is a catalog for a art gallery show. These are usually cool books. You've gone the last 2 times you went to Japan, Omar? Did you go to any art galleries?
Yes, but it was where my wife wanted to go, and it's usually to go see a Van Gogh or something exclusive that they have there. Because we were gonna see the Yoshitaka Amano art gallery, but that was not near the city where we were.
Were you not there when they had the Fist of the North Star?
Yeah, but I had to go see Van Gogh.
Oh, okay. Because I know the Fist of the North Star had a really cool hardcover catalog thing that you can buy there with all.
Oh my gosh, I would have been all over that.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I
Love
think
Bruinson.
they showed it off on the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel because Ed was there when it was going on.
So that must have been last year then.
It was last year, or the year before. I can't remember. It was within the last couple of years, but anyways, so this looks to be like one of those type of catalogs, and the word catalog sounds like it's like a toss away, throwaway thing, but art gallery catalogs are like art books, basically. So I'm sure this will be pretty cool.
Let's not even get started on Gamera. Great, that Taylor guy's here. What's up, Kingsport Cow? How you doing?
Hey, man? How you doing?
Have you guys seen the solicit for the Monster Island Summer Camp OGN from IDW? No, have you guys?
No, but that sounds awesome.
Let's keep going because this is a really interesting collection there. The Moon and the Serpent Bumper.
Moon and the Serpent Bumper, a book of magic by Steve Moore and Alan Moore. $49.99, 352 pages.
Ooh, Kevin O'Neill artwork's in there. Rick Veitch, Melinda Gebby. Sign me up for this.
I don't want to assume. Steve, is he related to Alan?
No, there's no relation. Actually, I have a funny story about that. So Steve Moore and Alan Moore they've collaborated quite a bit over the years, but there is no relation. But there's a funny story that Rob Liefeld told on the aforementioned Cartoonist Kayfabe channel, where he was back during the Supreme days when Alan Moore was working on it with him, and Alan was a little late on one of the scripts, so Rob called him up and said, like, "Hey, we need that script." And Alan Moore, he said, might have been in some sort of, maybe a synthetically induced state when he was on the phone, and was saying that he's like, I don't think I'm going to get the script to you, but my neighbor, Steve, I think he can write it for you if you're okay with that. He's a really good writer. And Rob Liefeld was like, I did not pay for Steve Moore. I paid for Alan Moore. And it's so funny the way Rob Liefeld tells the story. He does a great Alan Moore impersonation, but Steve Moore, he's actually
I can't believe Alan Moore said my neighbor.
Yeah, I know. That's how he said it. But Steve Moore is actually a legit comic book writer, but he's like, my neighbor Steve could write the script for you. And it's like, what?
That's so awesome. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to deliver, but I got a neighbor that writes comics.
So I never read this before, though. I'm a huge Alan Moore fan, and this is one of the few things I've never read, so I'll be excited to pick this up.
I'm one of those people where the only animal I've read so far has been Watchmen, so one of these days I really need to branch out. I mean, I've got the first trade of Saga of the Swamp Thing actually as well a few weeks ago, so I suppose that will be my next, one of the big ones. But yeah,
those are great places to start for Alan Moore.
Yeah. So I read Watchmen years ago, so I need to reread it as well.
That might be one of my favorite stories. That's awesome.
I'll try to find the clip for you because it's Rob does great impressions anyways, and it's funny.
I like his Todd McFarlane impressions.
Yeah, he does Todd McFarlane pretty good.
Spot on. All right, Dom. Let's keep going, buddy.
Yeah, I mean the thought of Rob Liefeld trying to impersonate Alan Moore is entertaining in its own. That alone, what it actually sounds like.
Say what you want about
Sure.
Rob Liefeld, but he's a great storyteller.
I agree with panels with Pete. That Prometheus, one of my favorites, and top 10 is awesome. It's
I'm so excited for
very
Prometheus.
unlike.
Absolute.
Yeah, it's very unlike Alan Moore too.
I like those series top 10 in what's Tom Strong, because they prove the fact that Alan Moore does love superhero comics and old pulp comics. Because there's like this impression that people think like Alan Moore hates comics and that he's always like writing his comics with like piss and vinegar, but he does love superheroes. He has a funny way of showing it.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his Image series that unfortunately got canceled.
Yeah, I wish. And then the reprint possibility for reprints are all tied up in those. Because Supreme, I don't think Liefeld has the rights to reprint Supreme anymore. Or
no,
Youngblood.
He doesn't. No. Youngblood and Supreme are gone.
He said he's trying to get them back, but I don't know what that means.
He's got to tell another story on Robservations before he can get those back.
Yeah. Robservations is a great podcast. Again, great storyteller.
The one I was talking about was the Mystery Incorporated.
Oh, 1963.
Yeah, those.
That
was really cool.
I love that series, and that still has never been completed and never will be because Jim Lee is supposed to do the annual that completes it all, that ties it all together with 1993 era Image.
Oh, we're still waiting on Jim to do something because we're still waiting on him to do the finished panels for Image United.
Yeah, and then it gets worse because the rights for all the 1963 characters are tied up between Bissett, Veitch, and Alan Moore, and I guess Bissett and Moore had a falling out. Surprise, surprise.
All right, what is this?
Next up, we've got Star Trek Year 5 Deluxe Edition, Book 2, by the Hive Mind, Brandon Easton, Angel Hernandez, not to be confused with the umpire Angel Hernandez, and Stephen Thompson at $39.99, 272 pages. This is a hardcover that collects issues 15 to 25 of the current ongoing and Star Trek Year 5 Valentine Day Special.
I read the first one and it had the Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing stories in there. Pretty solid. I ended up gifting it to my friend Tina, who's a bigger Star Trek fan. And if you're enjoying the IDW Star Trek stuff, they have renewed their license with.
That's what I was about to say. It was just announced. They renewed their license.
Star Trek. So that's good.
They're doing Star Trek library collections as well. So it's good to know that they'll be able to complete those then. Is this a good jumping on point to Omar? The Year 5 stuff?
Yeah. This is good. Because the thing is like, this is so Star Trek, I'm sure y'all probably know it, like only went on like for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And then what's Year 4 and Year 5 are is like, oh, what if they had continued the series? So here's season 4 and here's season 5. I hadn't read any Star Trek comics outside of like Star Trek X-Men because Mark Silvestri wrote Spock giving the Vulcan neck pinch to Wolverine, which is one of the most badass moments ever. And it's Mark Silvestri, my favorite artist, drawing it. But yeah, it was, I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Star Trek TV shows. I like the movies. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to understand. It's fun.
I've never read any Star Trek comics, so I've been curious to try it out. I just didn't know if this would be a good spot to go.
I was going to say, I think it's good that they managed to hold on to the Star Trek license, at least for now, because I heard recently that IDW lost the D&D and Magic the Gathering licenses. So,
oh, geez. Yeah. I was happy to hear that for IDW's sake because they've lost some licenses, so it's really cool that they're able to renew with Paramount the Star Trek license.
Yeah, and hopefully the TMT relaunch goes well for them. I know.
They're putting all their eggs in that basket. The TMNT, which I mean, at this point, you know, and I know we got to keep going, so you can move on to the next book. But it is really difficult to keep IPs for these companies. It's not easy, especially when you find out how much these companies are paying for some IP. It's like, how are they even getting their money back? Like, it's insane. And what happens is, I have this fear, especially with my buddies at Dynamite right now. They just have IP after IP. I'm happy for them, but also, like, I remember when Tokyo Pop was buying up all those manga IPs, and the problem was they could not keep up with translating them and selling the books. So by the time they were done buying like 80 different IPs, they were done. And
I think what publishers have to do is that they have to diversify. They can't just only they can't only like rely on the IPs. Like Boom Studios was like that for a few years, but now they've got the James Tynion stuff that's really been helping them kind of have if they lose those IPs, at least they still have that stuff to
they got some of the early stuff, and it's about holding on to those licenses, right? But man, it's crazy to see like some of these publishers just get license after license and just different IPs. And
freaking Dynamite's got Captain Planet and Thundar. Like, they're going deep into the Saturday morning cartoon stuff. But
yeah, I mean, there is a difference, like, right, between Thundar the Barbarian and Transformers, right? I'm sure it's not as much as the property as Transformers, but it's still like, you still had to pay something to get that license, and now you got to ride on the hopes that the creative team is able to move that book too. So, 40 years, that makes sense.
It's been 40 years since TMNT came out, and they are celebrating with a deluxe hardcover edition. This is retailing at $19.99, 136 pages.
You said deluxe hardcover, but I think it is the size of a standard trade.
It's the size of a standard, but they are calling it a deluxe hardcover.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Godzilla, by James Stokoe. They called it a deluxe edition, but it's a standard size.
Yeah, that was a weird one. So what is this though? Is this new stuff?
It looks like
it's just a combination of a bunch of comics throughout the years, all bundled up into one.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, they're going full force with the TMNT license, which is great for people that love Turtles.
Last Ronin has been doing really good for them, which is why we got a spin-off series. We got toy licenses.
Last Ronin was so good. I think it was the best-selling graphic novel, like American-based graphic novel last year or something.
Makes me happy to see books like that succeed.
100%, especially for other companies that are not Marvel, DC. Like, it's only healthy for the comic business.
Hey, Omnibo, how you doing, buddy? Keep an eye out on your messages. I'm gonna message you after the stream. All right, what's next, Dom?
What is up next are more Turtles. This is a collection of Eastman covers from 2015 to 2019. This is retailing at $39.99, 240 pages. So if you're a big fan of the man Kevin Eastman, you can get this with all the covers in it.
He did a variant cover for each and every single one of those ongoing IDW issues.
So this looks to be like the volume 2 because it collects issues 51 through 100. So I'm assuming volume 1 collected 1 through 50, and it is oversized, so that's nice.
Jeez, Bernie, I'm waiting. I actually have a contact that's Skybound. I think they just sent me Invincible Volume 6. And I asked if they're still planning on doing it because people have been asking me. So as soon as I find out, I will let you know. Which I'm sure, their stuff gets leaked all the time. So I have no exclusivity to them. I just have a contact. But I did make them aware that people are still waiting on that reprint. And
that's going to do it for the hardcovers at IDW. Let's go ahead and take a look at the trade paperbacks now from IDW. The first of which is the Best of Godzilla Volume 2, which is retailing at $29.99 and 384 page counts, and it is a trade paperback.
So this one has the Half-Century War, Kingdom of Monsters.
But does it have the entirety of those stories? That's a lot of stories.
No, I can't imagine, because I know Godzilla in Hell wasn't Godzilla in Hell in the first one too, and it only had like one chapter.
Yeah, because this collects Half-Century War and Gangsters and Goliaths both.
Wait, what are you holding up though? What is it called?
This is the library collection, so I'm trying to look at the
difference. This is best stuff. Best stuff will only have, let's see, with the specially picked comic issues from the series. Okay, so it's not the whole thing.
Yeah, because this is 378 pages and it collects all of Half-Century War and all of.
This is more like a greatest hits.
Yeah, but that'd be weird to collect just like one issue of Half-Century War.
Well, so I remember thinking that. I think it was when you did your overview of Volume 1. It was interesting that it was just like the
Yeah,
first
it
issue.
was.
So I guess it's a taster. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a taste of. Which I mean, Half Century War. Honestly, remember it takes place in a different decade.
Oh yeah,
so
I
if
guess
you're like,
yeah,
oh, this is the 1970s Godzilla. That's cool.
that's
It's-
true.
But I agree. Like if I found out it was like a whole miniseries, I'd be like, I kind of want to read the whole thing.
And what I do think this is because they do these in single issues. They've been doing them for like TMNT, all the properties they have.
Yeah.
The best of
Mm.
issues. So I think they're just compiling those best of issues into trade paperbacks.
Maybe.
What's next, Dom?
Up next is Cooking with Monsters Book 2, Harm to Table by Jordan Alsaka and Vivian Truong. This is retailing for $16.99, 260 pages.
As a shameless plug for my podcast, I had the creators of this on last year, maybe when the first volume came out, and it was a lot of fun. They were really nice. So
That's awesome. So have you
Yeah.
read? Is this? Did they say that this is volume 2?
yes.
Yeah.
So have you read volume
Yeah.
1 then, Joe?
Yeah, so I got to read Volume 1 before the interview, and yeah, it was good fun.
Could you give us like a quick elevator pitch on what it's like?
Yeah, so it's sort of like they've pitched it as one of those stories where it's like a school like full of students, like that typical sort of thing. But for one, it's like more diverse and manages to try and be more inclusive, and they're one of those fun out there comic premises where they're sort of cooking, like also fighting monsters at the same time. So there's like a culinary aspect to it with like the recipes and things and the food aspect, and there's also lots of sort of like fun, like comic booky monsters and things, and or there's all like because they're like young characters, like I don't know if they're teens or something around that. You have all that sort of young adult relationship drama and things, which was fun. I can't remember too much what happened in the first one because it's been a while, but yeah, I remember I was excited to read the second one when I finished it, so I'm glad they got to continue it.
Yeah, that sounds like a really fun manga. That pitched for it. I'm gonna guess the creators are manga fans, but that sounds fun.
Well, when it does say that it's perfect for fans of Naruto and My Hero Academia and other great manga,
Well, there you go.
it reminds me of Overcooked, which is a game that my family and friends hate playing with me. Give them panic attacks.
I think I played that like once with friends.
Fun,
and,
man.
Yeah, it was
Especially if you
chaotic.
like being
Yeah.
the boss and yelling at people. It's great. People that play with me do not like it though, including my kids. I give them anxiety, they say. And I'm like, that's what real life is. I'm prepping you for real life.
Good dad.
What's
Omar
next, Dom?
there. Sonic the Hedgehog, volume number 17, Adventure Awaits. You've got Ian Flynn's, Evan Stanley, and Gail Galligan on the writing, and Thomas Roethlisberger and Tracy Yardy on art. This is retailing for $17.99 for 152 pages, which collects Sonic the Hedgehog issues 67 through 68, 900th adventure in the IDW Endless Summer one-shot, and the Halloween special one-shot.
Is Thomas related to Ben?
No,
It's spelled differently. I was just kidding.
it is spelled W. Yeah.
Maybe it's his neighbor. Let's see what's next.
Next up is another Sonic the Hedgehog book. This is Fang the Hunter by also Ian Flynn and Ben Roethlisberger's neighbor, Thomas Roethlisberger and Mauro Fonseca. This is retailing for $16.99, 112 pages, and that is it for that.
It doesn't say what issues that collects. I was wondering if that was a like an arc
So,
of the ongoing.
To clarify, this is a different Sonic era than I think what Matt, because my wife was telling me about that video. Apparently, a lot of people learned about this whole Sonic nightmare. I thought I'm always under the impression that people just know these things, but about the whole lawsuit and
With
copyright-
Archie comics, like that,
Yeah.
Apparently not.
like that whole thing. But this is a different era. This is the IDW era, which has some of the people that did work on the Archie comics. And it's been a lot of fun. I really dig it. And it's got beautiful, gorgeous artwork with the colors too. So definitely recommend it for like people that have like that nostalgia for Sonic and also the have kids too.
Yeah, kids that play video games and you want them to have a book in their hand a few, for a little bit during the day, you can throw one of these in their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read the first IDW collection hardcover, which is like the first dozen issues or so a few months ago, and enjoyed it.
I wish those were coming out a little bit faster, and I wish there was a way to collect the Archie stuff. Unfortunately, it's just not gonna happen. Oh, really quick. What do I think about digital comics? Will it overcome paper? Well, not on my watch. Not on my watch. Digital comics, sure. Honestly, I've said this on my channel many times, but I do think that as far as physical media, graphic novels, comic books are going to be the last thing, that will stand will be the last man standing, because we've seen video games and we've seen movies go the route of digital, and digital just overcoming it, so much so that we have Best Buy that is no longer selling physical media when it comes to video.
Music too.
And music, right? But I think, like, for some reason, graphic novels has just always been a thing that I still see in bookstores, that I still see out there. So it's wonderful. And yes, Josh, give the link to the video that has over 1 million views to the indie solicitations. Good job. You're fired. All right. So in all seriousness, I don't think that comics are going anywhere, and I know that's always been a topic of conversation. I think a lot of it has to do with the writers and artists too, because a writer and artist don't make as much money on digital sales. That's the problem. And when people ask me, like, why doesn't Marvel or DC, instead of doing single issues, why don't they just do like a trade paperback of like 6, like what would be the equivalent of 6 issues in one graphic novel? And my answer is always the same, because whenever I get to interview these people, they always tell me that they don't make that much off of digital sales. It's impossible to make a living if you're a comic book creator making digital sales. It has to be physical,
Unless you own the property yourself. But
yeah,
like the only thing, it would have to, the whole industry would have to change if they were to go more digital, as far as like pay structures go. As far as
if you do that, there goes comic book stores.
Oh yeah, so that's a problem too, obviously.
There goes comic book stores. I know at least around me 4 comic book stores that have to sell 80%. Well, no, what did they tell me? About 60 to 80% of their stock of new comics every week to keep the lights on and to keep the manpower going. But if you go straight, I've often talked about this. You do that, then that destroys the whole comic book industry. Like comic book store industries. Yeah, I'm sure the big stores would find a way, but not everybody has CGC stuff. Not everybody has thousands of dollars that they can invest in something else. But yeah, it's a good topic for conversation, though, for sure.
Yeah. I love that topic.
And I agree with this. You shouldn't read a comic on your phone. But you know what, man? I'm old school, and I get it. Kids these days, I don't know. That's the thing, right?
Because these days are only on TikTok, and they see comic book panels on TikTok, and they try to say, "Oh, like this is why, this is that." So,
oh my God, that's right. I think of that, and I think of all the AI generated stuff that is raising a generation with misinformation, and man, it makes me so angry. Like, I ain't no snitch. Hell, I've been to jail because I didn't snitch. But let me tell you, man, I've come close to be like, yo, Marvel and DC, you all really need to take down this channel just because of just this crap AI generated script and the misinformation the channel is giving on like Jack Kirby or Stan Lee. And oh man, it made me, it was a friend of mine that knows I'm in the comics that recommended it to me. And I'm like, don't ever send me this junk again, man. Anyway, let's keep going.
Next up on the list is Star Trek Volume 3, Glass and Bone by the Hive Mind and one of my favorite artists, Marcus Toe, for $19.99, 168 pages. This is going to collect issues 13 through 18 of the ongoing series.
So this has Lansing and Kelly on it. Is this a separate continuity than the Year 5 stuff then? Is that like the TV continuity and this is like the comics continuity? Anybody in chat knows it?
I haven't read this series.
Okay.
This should just be whatever the regular continuity is.
It is
current, quote unquote current continuity, I guess, with Star Trek.
Having the same creators was a little confusing, but I could see the Year 5 stuff being like TV continuity and this being like comics continuity, maybe.
I think that's the case. But if anyone wants to tell us otherwise, let me know in the chat below.
Yeah, any Star Trek comics fans in the chat, please educate me.
But digital saved me so much money. Absolutely. And you can try out comics that way too. Paper all the way. I've considered digital, but I like the idea of seeing it in person.
I know publishers make money off of library checkouts and Hoopla checkouts. It's probably not a ton. I'm sure that I'm making like bank off of it, but they do make some money off of that. I don't know how much of that trickles down to the creators. I can't speak for that. So Hoopla's still supporting at least the publisher.
And then digital, and then get them on paper. And I've seen my viewers check out things digitally. Like, I can't remember what it was recently. Somebody asked me my opinion on a particular book, and they were like, "Oh, thanks. I'll check it out digitally first and see if it's for me." What's next, Dom?
Next up is Star Trek Lower Decks Warp Your Own Way by Ryan North of Fantastic Four currently, and Chris Finoglio. $24.99, 208 pages. No collected information was given to us.
This seems just ripe for Ryan North to be the writer on this one.
I've never seen Lower Decks, and I've never read this. Joe, are you a fan of Lower Decks or Star Trek at all?
I'm not a fan. Well, I say I haven't watched Lower Decks. Rather, it always looked fun. I am loving the current Fantastic Four run by Ryan North, which is why it might have piqued my interest. I've seen some Star Trek, not a lot though. But yeah.
Got it. All right, Dom. What else we got from Boom?
IDW is continuing their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thick trade paperbacks. We got the next one up with Volume 5, of course, by all the creators that are there. $39.99, 368 pages, collecting issues 38 through 44, as well as the TMNT Ghostbusters crossover.
This is the exact same content, by the way, as the IDW collection in hardcover format, except this is trade paperback. What's up, Bunk Master? You'll have to join us next time.
You're getting on next month.
Okay, I guess you don't have a choice. 150 Star Trek hardcover set next to me. Everything Eagle Moss collected, missing the end of the DC X-Men crossover in the last few years of IDW. Otherwise, pretty complete history. What are the best ones? Partworks, TMNT.
Also, that means he has a nice collected spine. Those Eagle Moss ones.
That's how they hook you. Yeah. Same creative team as Ron B. and Evan Cagle is going to be writing Absolute New Gods title for DC Literature.
I'm excited for new Gods comics.
Absolute New Gods.
Yeah, that was awesome to hear about.
Absolute New Gods. Absolutely. All right, let's keep going.
The Unpetables. Book 2, Unpettable in the City by Dennis Messner, $9.99, 108 pages.
I think my son might have read this, the first volume to this. This looks like something he got out of the library. I'll have to ask him.
I've never heard of this.
No. That is it for IDW Publishing. And we will now go on to Boom Studios, October 2024 solicitations. And the first thing that we have on this hardcover list is The Art of Something is Killing the Children for $49.99 by Joe, how do you say it?
Deladera?
There you go.
Sounded good.
So yes, this will collect a lot of art from the series. Again, $49.99.
I wonder if this is the loophole for not having the covers in the slipcase editions and the hardcovers. Because
wasn't
people are
one of the ones. Sorry, wasn't this one of the ones in the Kickstarter recently that Tiny Onion did? If I recall.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the Kickstarter.
But you might be onto something there, Omar. Sometimes they do that. If the covers aren't included, they'll do a separate collection.
Yeah, because people were complaining that the slipcase that's $80 or what, $70 does not include covers.
Are there chapter breaks between issues even?
Yeah.
Or is it just...
Yeah.
Okay.
It just doesn't include the covers, which I get it. It is a legit gripe. I get it. Yeah.
I because if there's not chapter breaks, that's one of my pet peeves of Kirkman collections.
Kirkman or Hickman?
Well, Hickman too, but at least Hickman has chapter breaks between issues.
Sometimes.
Kirkman just has, it's just straight through, and it's like I could go on another rant, but I don't want to.
I wonder if this will have what's it called? Come in that slipcase edition too. I don't know.
I think it says slipcase down there on the bottom. If you scroll down a little bit, Dom.
Yeah, we do have a slipcase for
Oh,
this
yeah.
one as well. So the left cover is the regular edition without the slipcase. This is the cover to the slipcase.
Oh, damn it. That's pretty.
Yeah, that's cool.
I want to
60
buy it. How much is it? $70.
$70 instead of $50. It's only $20 of an increase for the extra cardboard.
Yo, yeah. It's just
Is there
like,
a page count?
We don't have a. Do we have a page count? We do not.
Okay.
This is all that we were given.
yeah, sometimes they don't send us those. But that's pretty cool. I mean, I guess if this is the way they're going to include covers, if you want the covers, I just think it's weird, but whatever. I'm not Boom. What's next?
Up next is Cyanide and Happiness Stab
Wow.
Factory.
20 years? That makes me feel old because 20 years was like 1980. I remember my buddy sending me this stuff in like 2005, 2006. I didn't even know there were like actual strips.
Yeah, so all in there for $24.99. I was gonna make a joke about myself, but because you mentioned 20 years.
Oh,
Yeah, let's not do that.
wait, you making a joke about that makes a joke about the old guys in the room.
But to be fair, like we're split now because I got Joe with me.
This is all through comicreleases.com, Freaky Thinker, and that's what Dom helps put together.
Great website.
Yep.
If you're wanting to know the exact dates things are coming out, they keep it up to date over there with Dom and Chris. Great website. Can't recommend it enough.
There you go. Thank you, James.
Thank you, James. As
right.
always, Mr. Super Producer.
What's next?
Up, we got
Persephone?
Persephone by
Yep. Go for it,
Louis.
Joe.
Go for it.
Well, is it Persephone or Persephone or?
Oh, I think he's asking you to
Maybe
pronounce
it's a
the writer and
play on.
artist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Not even gonna touch that.
Lucatelli Kornsky.
Yeah, sure.
Kornsky.
That sounds right. Okay. I could have sworn this book was already out.
I guess they're printing it on hardcover again, so perhaps.
Being 20 years old aged me in an instant. Oh, yes. Yes. Get off my lawn, you dang kids. All right. What's next?
We got trade paperbacks coming out. The first one is the trade paperback of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, The Return. Amy Jo Johnson on writing, along with Matt Hopson and Nico Leone from Teeny Howard's Catwoman and Francesco Mortorino. This is 22 years after they disbanded, but we do have issues 1 through 4 collected in here.
So this is Amy Jo Johnson, who played the original Pink Ranger and was a lot of people's crush. If you grew up in the 90s, it might have been your first crush. If you were born in the 90s, maybe not. I don't know. My first crush was Smurfette. So,
wow.
Oh, what?
I was about to say I like him short and blue, but then that's gonna get dark real quick. So,
James, please clip that.
I think James has already clipped that. It's already in the OmniDog Discord.
I'm a child of the 80s, man. Joe, did you grow up with Power Rangers, buddy? Have you been reading the comics?
No, I haven't read any Power Rangers. I think I read in 2020 when they split it into Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers. I think I read issue 1 of Power Rangers just because I bought the Peach Momoka cover. But apart from that, I haven't read anything. I mean, I've got the Godzilla versus Power Rangers comic I mentioned earlier, but that's also probably one of my first Power Rangers comics. So I need to dive in at some point.
I'm a huge fan of the Power Ranger comics, and I have no nostalgia for Power Rangers. I was in high school when that was coming out in America, and I had grown up with Ultraman and Ultra 7. So
you were in high school. Okay.
Yeah, 1992 is when Power Rangers premiered in America.
I was a young kid coming home from elementary school and hoping my mom recorded it on VHS for me.
Oh yeah, man, I get it. That was 1992, 1993 was the biggest, that was the Power Rangers Christmas toy.
I mean, Like
I
it was so
in Power
big.
Rangers, I don't know if you all know this or not. I used to review toys for a magazine. But Bandai for 20 years was the #1 best-selling toy every year, and it was always Power Rangers because they knew how to market. They knew they could change the toys because they were coming from Japan, so they were following that. And then when they sold it, unfortunately, to Hasbro, and just it was no longer the powerhouse that it once was.
I still have my old Power Ranger flip head action figures. My son
Yeah,
plays with them.
the original ones. Yeah, the American ones are really. Dude, that chick from Weird Science. Oh, she still got it too. She's cute. Anyway, what the hell were we saying? Yeah, next, Dom.
Next up is Power Rangers Unlimited Forever Rangers. We don't have the cover, unfortunately, but we do know that it is 1699. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers with all of the short stories thrown in here. This collects the 30th anniversary special and PR Unlimited, the Mighty or the Morphin Masters #1.
Okay.
Hey, Dan Mora. I wish I could see your art.
Watch the play. This is a child, and she was cute. She was cute. I get that. What's next, buddy? Oh, Berserker.
Berserker Bloodlines Volume 2. None other than Kent Reeves and also Jason Aaron joining in on the action with Ron Garney and Salva LaRocca on the art. This is collect.
Did you say Kent Reeves? Is that his name? Like his real name?
No. Wait. Did I say Kent?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant Kent.
You live in
Reeves.
California, so I thought you knew something I didn't. His name is Kent.
Hey, Keanu Reeves, he's so kind, he wouldn't take offense to it at all. He would just be like, "It's okay, man."
Yeah, he would. That's cool, man. So this is the follow-up series?
Follow-up series, 1999, Lost Book of B and Face Full of Bullets.
So I saw the most wholesome picture from San Diego Comic-Con the other day. So Matt Kent is writing a graphic novel with his mom right now, and like he's drawing it and his mom's writing it. And there's a picture of Keanu Reeves meeting Matt Kent's mom at San Diego Comic-Con.
I saw that, yeah.
That's awesome. I've always heard of how good of a human being he is.
Good guy.
Yeah, and here's the thing that for comics fans that I love about Keanu Reeves. He was on the Today Show hyping up Berserker when it first was announced, and he not only mentioned all the credits, he even mentioned the letterer that works on it.
Wow.
Praising them. So onto the Today Show, we had a letterer of comic books being praised by Keanu Reeves. It was I saw that. I'm like, all right, this guy's in it for the right reasons. I'll support this comic.
Oh, that's really cool, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. I read the first issue back when it came out, but I never read the rest. Someday.
And Jason Aaron, huh? That's interesting. Ron Garney, Salvador LaRocca.
Yeah, they spun this off into a bigger thing. It was supposed to be like a 12-issue series at first, but now they've done a few things. I think Steve Scroce even did like a one-shot. That I've been wanting to read.
That ties it all back up to the Matrix. That's cool.
Yeah. You're right. Storyboard.
Storyboard for the Matrix. Left Comics. Made more money in Hollywood. Good for him. Keep on going, Dom.
Next up, we have got the Amori Wars No World for Tomorrow trade paperback. Good to Apollo. I'm Burning Star 4 Volume 2. $17.99. This collects Amory Wars, Good Apollo, No World for Tomorrow, issues 1 through 4.
That have any of you read this?
No.
I have the first hardcover and I really like it. Like I think it's actually really solid. Do you all know much about the creator?
No.
So if you scroll up, it's Claudio Sanchez. He is a musician, Coheed, I think. The reason I know this is because Amanda is a huge fan of Coheed.
Coheed and Cameron.
Oh, cool.
And we were at New York Comic Con and he was there. And at one point, as you go to these conventions, you just bump into people, and I had recognized him. And I was like, "Hey, man, my cousin's a huge fan of yours," and we started talking. I think we were both getting a drink, and he was like, "Yeah, man, the way he said this was so awesome. He was like, I'm a big fan of comics, And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. You wrote a comic. He's like, no, dude, you don't understand. I love comics. I was doing this shit before all these other musicians were writing graphic novels with other writers. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy really likes comics. Like, he was
Wow.
letting me know that he was like, it's not just my name on this book because I'm trying to sell this book. Like, I legit love graphic novels and I wanted to do something. So he said that he wrote an album like right before this that came out that kind of is a prequel to the story. It's really cool. Like, how old is man?
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't realize this
that's
was
awesome.
Coheed and Cambria. Yeah, it was like a concept album.
Yeah. So what's cool is like he was telling me that. He's like, yeah, man, you got a lot of these people here from Hollywood, that movie stars and musicians, and are like, oh, a graphic novel, cool. I need a co-writer, whatever. Dude, it was hilarious because as he was saying that, Tom Hardy's behind us with Scott Snyder signing his new comic with the character that looks like Tom Hardy. But anyway,
Wow.
that was my interaction with Claudio. I thought he was a pretty cool dude. That was nice. And I definitely could tell that he appreciates this, like he appreciates comics.
Another musician of that same stature is Gerard Way, who actually started in comics before My Chemical Romance was a thing.
I didn't realize he started in comics before.
Yeah, he went to art school, and then he was an intern at DC before My Chemical Romance was even a thing.
Dang.
That's pretty cool. What's next, Dom of X?
That I did not know, but what is up next is another Emery Wars trade paperback.
Yeah,
$24.99. This collects the entirety of the second Stage Turbine Blade issues 1 through 10.
Okay, that's the follow-up. Displaced, the hardcover.
Continuing on, Displaced trade paperback. Ed Brisson and Luca I cannot say that name. Casalanguida.
There you go.
Oh, no issues collected in here, or this should collect the entire series of this.
5 or 6 issues. I know my friend Comics with Dan he's got his own YouTube channel. Really enjoyed this, but I haven't read it. It sounded good though.
But yeah, it is Ed Brisson. It is a name I recognize. So,
well, you had me at Oshawa, Ontario, disappearing. Okay. Let's see what happens. I like mysteries like that, man. Opening up like a whole city is gone for some reason. What's next, Dom of X? Let's keep going. We got a couple more publishers to go through.
Oh, next is Man's Best, 1999 by Pornsak Pichet Schott and Jesse Lonergan. This collects
local creator, and this one's set in Canada, so I gotta pick it up. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, does sound cool.
I like Pornsak. Great writer. Wrote some really creepy stuff. Go ahead.
Jesse Lonergan is an incredible artist. He has a very like design oriented style of his like panel layouts and stuff. He's a really, really incredible artist.
Yeah, it's cool. I have read this. I loved it. So I haven't read the final issue, but I really enjoyed what I read.
I like the concept just reading it.
It does look cool. Next up, we've got Pine and Merrimack's trade paperback by none other than Kyle Starks and Fran Galan. This collects the entire miniseries.
Okay.
Under Heist trade paperback by David and Maria Lapham.
Ooh, sign me up.
1 through 5 in there as well.
I love David Lapham. He wrote Stray Bullets.
Currently writing Stray Bullets.
Yeah, good guy.
Oh,
yeah, good.
He also
good creator.
Got his start in comics with Valiant, the 1990s era of Valiant.
I am a huge fan of Stray Bullets.
So good.
And I feel the way I feel about his Batman is the way that I feel about Ed Brubaker's X-Men.
Oh, okay. I haven't read his Batman, but I know what you mean by that.
City of Crime. Yeah.
Did he?
I read Stray Bullets, and I'm like, he is a perfect match for Batman.
Did he write it or draw it?
He drew it.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Mandrake that drew it, but yeah, he wrote it.
Oh, he wrote it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, yeah, he wrote the City of Crime.
Yeah, because Stray Bullets is one of the best crime comics I've ever read.
Oh, it's excellent, and it's still ongoing, which is crazy.
No, and I actually haven't read any of the current era. I've only read what's in the Uber Owls edition.
And Oh, the big one.
The first 41 issues, and I think he's done he's done more than 41 issues in the follow-up series.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Oh,
Dude,
and
Trades
Plasm. Yes. Sorry.
Oh yes, Warriors of Plasm.
Yeah, that was the whole
Defiant comics.
Jim Shooter's Defiant, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was but David Lapham actually he was the artist on some of that.
He was,
stuff.
yeah, that because Shooter gave him his first job with Valiant, and I think he followed Shooter to Defiant.
This is really good. It's about the animals from Americans and Russians who went to space and fell into a time warp. Ooh, I like that pitch. Thank you. It's definitely Lapham, not Lapham.
Yeah, Lapham.
Thank you. I've got the trade. I remember. Oh man, the trading card was such a gimmicky thing, but I fell for it. There's Dune, House of Trades, Volume 2,
issues 5 through 8, 1999.
And what's next? These are soft covers.
Yes, this is a soft cover edition for Cyanide and Happiness, as if I guess Omar did not need another reminder that it is 20 years old. You can get this for $14.99 instead of $29.99.
20 years old. Man, that's crazy. Is that it for the nope? Oh,
Persephone's also getting a trade,
releases.
Getting a trade paperback, so folks will get the option to choose between either the trade or the hardcover. It is your choice. $17.99 for Persephone. And I Heart Skull Crusher by Shazam's Josie Campbell, Volume 1. This is $16.99. I Heart Skull Crusher 1 through 5 is collected here.
Got it.
Orcs, The Gift, Book 3 by Christine Larson for $16.99. This collects The Gift 1 through 4, and it is Book 3 of the series.
That's a series I want to read. It looks fun.
Hey, love.
It does look like nice, solid fun. Continuing on, we got Rugrats, Bestest Comics, Book 2, trade paperback for $16.99. This collects R for Reptar, C for Chinooka, and Rugrats, The Last Token. This was part of my childhood here. Like, this would rerun on Nickelodeon at like 6:30 in the morning. Right before like all the Saturday cartoons.
See, Dom, you just aged us still by saying you watched it on reruns. I was watching this when it first came out. But
I was too old for Rugrats when it came out.
Oh man, those early Nicktoons were so good. This is
I never saw it.
And Doug with my brother, but yeah,
Doug was great.
Rugrats.
Stimpy. So this is a classic era Rugrats. So in the 90s, when all these cartoons were a big thing, they always made comic books of them. Like Nickelodeon comic books, Ren and Stimpy was where Dan Slott got his comic start, right?
Oh yeah.
So this is like that same era. It looks like of this material. So because Boom Studios did new Rugrats comics that were written by Box Brown, who's a great cartoonist in his own right. So, but this is like classic era stuff. Which is right in line because they just recently reprinted all the classic era Power Rangers stuff as well.
So CNSS loved David Lapham's Batman City of Crime.
Oh, well, you know what? Actually, I shouldn't listen to Omar's opinions on Batman stories. He likes Batman Year 2, so maybe that one's a good one.
I do.
That he does.
That's where you're supposed to say, but you like Dark Knight Strikes Again. So.
I wasn't going to. I was letting you have your moment.
Omar's good guy today.
I was trying to throw you a softball there.
On the Coheed and Cambria note, their album Year of Black Rainbow had a limited edition tie-in graphic novel written with Peter David. Massively out of print, but I think you can get it on PDF. Thank you for that, always an instigator.
Oh, and so he did need a co-writer.
Dan Slott also worked on Alf Comics and Ren and Stimpy. He worked on Ren and Stimpy comics too. What's next?
Up next, whoa. That's cheating. We're not supposed to be looking there. But we got Dark Horse, October 2024.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Solicitations. From the big one upstairs, they got the first one, The Art of the Legend of Vox Machina Deluxe Edition. $99.99, 192 pages, but you do get all the goodies with the Arts of the Legend of Vox Machina.
They do some pretty stuff, and then Dark Horse Direct sometimes gets like super limited editions of these that sometimes are about twice as much. Yeah.
Look at
So you like the limited editions. You really gotta like something. Like
Yeah, Dark Horse Direct puts out some really pretty looking things, but yeah, they are pricey.
I think they're putting out some new Berserk statues too.
Oh, really? I saw the bookends, but it's done in like manga style, so it's black and white. So it's like the big sword from Berserk.
Yeah, that big sword came and went. I mean, I think
this is a new one. It's done in black and white, so it looks like it came off the comic.
Is it the same sword, just in black and white?
Yeah, so it's like a different version of that one.
Son of a bitch. Okay. I don't need it. The art of and then
do you have space for bookends though, Omar?
I don't have space for anything.
I know, but like, do you even have?
I do. My upstairs is normal. Melanie will let me put my giant sword in there.
Well, if that's the case, then it'll look great with your Berserk books.
That's what I'll pitch it to her like that. I'm like, look, all your Kempo and Christian books, what they need are these giant like Berserk sword bookends.
I think this one looks even cooler because it looks actually like it came off the page. I'm gonna send it to you.
Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate that. This is the same thing, except this is the just regular hardcover.
It's just regular hardcover. You don't get any of the goodies. But if you pay $50 more, you do get all the goodies. Now, speaking of hardcovers, the complete Kabuki 30th anniversary edition by none other than David Mack. $149.99. 1,288 pages, 9x12, oversized hardcover. This collects all of the library editions minus the bonus content that was in those library editions, all in its full glory.
It's gonna be massive.
Now, I have a couple things to say about this. Number one, it's been delayed. It was supposed to come out, I think, in October, and now it's been delayed in January. Yep. Number two, I am going to reach out to Dark Horse because I know that the library files, so if you own the library editions, and maybe you don't know this or not, those files were stretched. They weren't properly scanned. There wasn't any restoration. It was just stretched out. And, to purists of David Mack's art, they look rather rough. And I am going to ask if they're going to do new scans on this or if they're just going to use the files for the library editions. Because this specifically states it collects the library editions 1 through 4.
Yeah, that is concerning then.
So I am going to ask. I mean, it still gives them enough time. Maybe that's why it was pushed back. Maybe somebody already brought it to their attention and they're like, oh, we got to restore everything. We're pushing it to next year. Maybe. I don't know.
If that's the case, then I'm okay with them pushing it back.
Yeah.
So in that meantime, before we get an answer on that, we do have Critical Role, The Mighty Nine Origins, Library Edition Volume 2. This is written by Jody Hauser, Kendra Wells, May Catton, art by Selena Espiritu and Hunter Bunyan. It's coming out in December. This is retailing for $49.99, 224 pages, and it collects the Mighty Nine Origins, Molly Mock Tea Leaf, Mighty Nine Origins, Beauregard Lionette, George Stone, and Caduceus City.
Really quickly, Omar, if you don't mind me asking, did Legal clear your videos? They did. All 6 of my videos have been cleared. However, David wants me to wait on one of them because they need a better scan of a cover. And to give you a hint, it is a chromium cover and it looks a little rough. So I asked for a better scan. And he was like, absolutely, this looks bad.
Wait, the omnibus is going to have a chromium cover though?
No. You silly bastard.
We're gonna increase the price by $50 for the chromium.
No, we've learned that from DC Comics. Anytime there's a gimmicky cover on an omnibus, you're gonna pay $150 for a $700 book or 700-page books.
I was a little taken aback. I thought they were, going all out for something.
No. When it came out, it had a chromium cover and the scan. Well, I guess that's another hint. It's never been collected. So the scan is it's pretty rough. So it looks like somebody it looks like somebody took a picture on their phone and there's glare, and I was like, okay. So we'll see. Yeah, you can speculate all you want to. Yeah, you're welcome. As far as this question though, It is the exact same file. Like it's the exact same printer and it's the exact same file. So if you're not a fan of the black suit, my overview comes out later this afternoon. If you're not a fan of the black suit, the way it looks the same. I mean, the colors are just a little bit darker. That's it. Oh, come on, these cost that much in Canada. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. So it's that book that came out before Dom was born. Dom was in the age of chromium covers too. Weren't you, Dom?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay.
For legality purposes, anyways.
He was of the age where
Probably
chromium
for the
covers
best.
were in the back issue bins.
We do have a lot of chromium covers in our back issue bins at my comic shop. So
See, nailed it.
Okay.
now the big one for me, and I think everyone else anyways, Rom V and Evan Cagle's Dawn Runner miniseries finally being collected. This is a standard hardcover, but it is $29.99, 168 pages, and collects the entirety of this miniseries. This is going to be the same creative team as I think Bunkmaster B said earlier. They will be taking over the New Gods Pantheon of DC come December as part of their All-In initiative, and I'm very, very excited to get to hopefully read Dawn Runner soon.
This one took 5 words to sell me on it. Massive mechs battle giant monster. I'm sold.
I love Aditya Bidikar's. Oh yeah, this is a solid team.
Dave Stewart as well, yeah.
I love that even in the indie stream, I can't get away from questions like this. When are we getting the next batch of Epic Collection reveals? I have asked for the remaining covers and content. Once I get those, I'll have to get together with Curtis because I don't want to do it alone. It's tradition to do it with Curtis. I've been doing it with Curtis like 6 years now, so it would feel weird if I did it by myself. Story is good and the art is fantastic. The art has to be fantastic with that time.
Evan Cagle.
Generation X had a chromium cover. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm getting everything that Cagle draws. One of my favorite comics. Oh, I can't wait to read it then. When is this coming out?
This is coming out
December.
Yeah. Awesome.
Have you read this yet, Joe?
No, I'm just as excited as you to wait for the collection, but yeah, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, this has been at the near top of my list for as far as like anticipated read-throughs go. This has been one of them because I haven't read anything besides Venom that Rom V has written that I haven't liked yet. So
I was gonna say, I mean, The Many Deaths of the Star is just one of the best comics I've ever read. I need to pick up the Rare Flavors trade also with Friday.
His indie stuff is so good. Like I've loved this stuff since Graffiti's Wall. That one? Oh,
Deep Savage Shores, I think was like
that's the one that put a lot like his name in a lot of people's like that's the one that made him big.
Did Graffiti's Wall come before that?
Yeah, it was published by I think Dark Horse published, and then they reprinted it with additional stuff in the back.
Okay.
Which was really cool.
Do you think we could get this at some point in library edition, Omar?
Yeah, I'll make that happen. Yeah. Do I think? Yeah, absolutely, man. Ron B's a hot seller. Like, yeah.
We gotta get Jess to buy this so that we can get the library edition. I think that's how it works, anyways.
Yes, and then he won't read the. September going to be another Omnigeddon month. It's looking like it, man. It's just because I don't know what happened this summer. There were a couple of delays, not just at Marvel, but also at DC. Obviously, the biggest one being DC versus Marvel. Space Circus. Oh, Sergio Aragones and Mark Evanier. Oh, hell yes.
$29.99, 112.
This is not Gru, but it's the same team, right?
It's the same team. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Stan Sakai lettering too.
Oh, Stan Sakai, multi-time Eisner Award winner for lettering.
Unrelated, but what other DC comics would you guys like in compact versions? All-Star Batman and Robin, in the Identity Crisis, and
Dark Knight Strikes Again.
I'm kidding. Please don't believe that. Oh, those are awful books. Dark Knight Strikes Again instead of Dark Knight Returns. Something like Batman Year One, I think would be good. The Long Halloween is another classic. And if I have to choose a Superman story, probably the Man of Steel mini, the 6-issue mini with John Byrne relaunching it. Wonder Woman. Oh, that's a tougher one because I love a lot of Wonder Woman. So maybe the first 12 issues of George Perez's run of
You know
Wonder
what?
Woman.
I think a reprinting of Superman Smashes the Klan, but in compact edition for those kind of
Yeah, it
work,
would be a little
Ooh,
small.
yeah.
I think that'd be a really good one.
I was just looking over at my shelf. Something like Super Sons surely is quite suited for that sort of compact line. I know they started putting out like a complete collection type book for it recently, but
Oh, I think it'd be perfect for the audience that they're trying to captivate
Yeah.
with that series too, because of the Jorge Jimenez art. Like,
well,
geared,
yeah, that's true.
yeah, geared towards new readers. I'm all in for that.
I mean, I think a lot of Tom King stuff could be ripe for that too. All the maxi and miniseries he's done.
Yeah, I mean, Mr.
I
Miracle
find it
was
really
fantastic.
weird that none of those books come sealed in plastic, and none of those books have a rating on it.
It is interesting.
That's the most weirdest thing I found. Whenever I did my
Yeah.
overview, I was like, it's just really strange to see a book that, that small, not like, hey kids, mature themes in here. Because
Right.
most of the time when you find a mature book, like Dark Horse learned, right? Like you put Berserk in plastic, or kids are going to be flipping through it because they see a manga. Yeah, just I don't know. Just really strange that they haven't. I mentioned George Perez's Wonder Woman, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait, that's really wordy. Oh my gosh, wait, so is Watchmen, and I was able to sort of read that with my readers on. What's next?
Next up is Trigum Maximum Deluxe Edition Volume 3, 632 pages, $49.99. And this collects
$7.99, right? So I think there's 12 maximum, so I guess we need one more. So in total, it would be 5, if I'm not mistaken, because you have Trigun and then Trigun Deluxe 1 through 4.
So the whole series is 5 hardcovers, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not bad.
I think it ends at 12, if I'm not mistaken. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but if memory serves me right, there were 12.
Yeah, because this is, like you just said, I think this is the 4th hardcover of the, because there's Trigun and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Dude, what the hell is going on with Court of Thorns and Roses series? Why is everybody like we had a get together this weekend and my wife read it and she hated it. She read it when we were in Japan, and it's smut, but it's not even written well. Yet she can't. She said it herself. She's like, yet I can't stop talking about it. And all her friends, all these ladies were talking about this book series. I was like, and all of them were like, most of them are English teachers or librarians. All of them were like, oh, it's awful. Absolutely awful. Why are we still reading it? Got one of the ladies was on book 4. And I was like, oh my God.
Is it a prose novel?
It's like the new Twilight books that are not written well at all, yet people keep reading them, making them popular. So I was asking always an instigator, what the hell is up with those books? If your lady hasn't read it yet, Taylor, just wait. It's 50
everyone's
Shades
catching
of
strays. Oh my
God.
goodness.
Thorns and Roses are 5. Of course, James read it. He has a signed edition. No shade, James. All right, what's next? We're out of the
Always an instigator isn't wrong though. I did see a Target where they have. Okay, anyways, moving on from that.
No. What were you saying? You saw a Target that what?
Yeah, no. Both of the Targets that like are near my house have that exact same, like they have like Green Lantern Far Sector and Court of Owls, and then you've got like Roses right like literally next to it with a
Court
whole
of Owls next to Court of Thorn. People might think it's like the same series. I might be, oh, Court of Owls is where you start, and then you go into, and then
yeah, exactly. You get both books for 50% off if you're a Target Red Card Plus member.
Oh, no.
And I bet Court of Thorns will outsell Court of Owls each and every time. And that's just from like how many copies those 50 Shades of Grey or those Twilight books sold. It is insane. And if you ever want to look at their numbers and compare it to comic book numbers, it'll make you cry. Like even the best-selling copy.
Hey, we still have Dogman that can compete with those numbers.
I don't even think Dogman competed with those numbers, man. Women love spending money on that stuff. I remember Tina telling me that a long time ago. She's like, I don't know why they don't market it this way. Women spend more money on stuff like this than men do. And there's a lot of truth to that. What's next?
Next up are the trade paperbacks from Dark Horse. The first one we have is Black Sight by Stephanie Phillips, who's currently writing Phoenix, and Connor Boyle on art. 128 pages, $22.99. Black Sight 1 through 5 is collected here.
I love that cover.
Sounds cool.
The cover is intense.
Yes, the Trigon Deluxe is still coming out. I think it's September or October now.
Let me look at the
latest comic releases. There's a little bit of issues behind the scenes going on with that, but at least it's coming now. And a lot of people want to get to come back to print. This will be oversized in a beautiful hardcover.
Trigon Volume 1 is apparently going to be released in September. We have that on the site here. Rahul, so if you're looking into that, obviously not tendered. Everything can change. Anything can change, but that is what we have, September 10th.
But you better believe if it changes, comicreleases.com will be the first website that catches that. They're so good with they're keeping their dates up to date.
Whatever it takes to get new readers into comics. Hashtag, yeah, I like that movement.
Maybe you know what? Maybe that's what Scott Snyder should do for Absolute Batman. Just do a first story.
Fairy smut. That's what we're doing
now. A mashup of Corn of Thorns and Court of Owls.
Okay. Do you have to read Gun or buy Gun to read Trunk? Well played. Oh, speaking of Scott Snyder. And that cover is not.
And Jack Snyder, is that his neighbor?
Yeah, you beat me to it. I hope it's not. Well, I don't know. It could be his kid, right? Man, a superstar comic book writer.
That is his son, yeah.
That's the son. And his son, Jack Snyder. Well, I hope he's better than J.J. Abrams' son at writing. Have collaborated on their first ever graphic novel, post-apocalyptic. I was going to say, it looks like Attack on Titan. Valeria Favokia and Whitney Koger are the artists on this book.
Yeah, I remember Scott hyping this up on his newsletter ages ago, so I'll have to check it out, see what it's like.
Growing Up on the Needle 3. Okay. Interesting.
Joe, let me know if it's any good, if you pick it up or not. I always love Scott's stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his work, so.
What's the line between romance and erotica? You're asking the right panel, my friend. I'll let Dom take it from here. Dom of X, what do you think? What is that line between romance and erotica?
Romance for me has always just been like to get to see two people cuddling.
Oh wow.
Erotica is two people doing more than cuddling.
Netflix and chill? Is that what the kids still call it?
Exactly.
That's such a diplomatic way of putting it, what Dom said.
Just
I'm trying to get like PG on the show.
The sincerity that Dom took with answering that was just wonderful.
I don't even know how to answer that damn question. That's really good. We have this book. Maddie had a book club on Old Reader, New Reader with the new comic by Leah Williams. What was it? It's Boom Boom and
Exterminators.
Yeah, so it's like a bunch of girls going out, and when I read it, I was reading it and I'm like, holy crap, this is horny as hell. Like, if Chris Claremont had written this, people would be bitching on Twitter right now how he's a perverted old man. And I'm like, well, maybe that's the loophole nowadays. Maybe we get women to just write these horny comics. And that's the loophole for guys to get to read this stuff. I don't even know how to answer this. I mean, my answer would probably get me demonetized, is what I'm trying to say. Joe, do you have an answer for the fine line between romance and erotica? What do you consider romance?
I mean, on a somewhat serious recommendation to a silly question, I know that like something like Mirko Andolfo's Sweet Paprika was a lot of fun, and that's like very sort of spicy romance comic, isn't it? I don't know. I think it depends. I don't know if originally my first instinct was like romance has more heart and emotion to it, maybe, whereas erotica is sort of more like I don't want to say getting down to business. That sounds awful.
Getting
but,
down to business.
it popped into my head. I was like, that's the
Getting down
worst way to say it.
Boy,
But,
this
oh,
chat is on
God.
fire.
But then I realised romance can be trashy as well, so it's probably not a good
I love
point.
it.
But God.
Taylor, as the indie guy of the panel, how would you describe? You've read a lot of indie work. Like, how would you describe smut compared to like something like artsy romance?
Well, since I'm
Well,
on your
yeah.
stream, since I'm on your stream, I have to do my quota of mentioning Jack Kirby. You know, he was credited for creating the romance genre of comics, right?
I've heard this. Yeah, he did a lot of love comics. Not a lot of people were aware of that. Mhm.
And I don't know, but I will mention that the Alan Moore had some interesting insight when he was saying that the difference between erotica and porn was just how much money you have in your wallet. That like when the rich guys talk about
I can
having that material, they're like, oh, it's just erotica.
That's interesting.
I love some of the answers in the chat as well.
I think for me the difference is like if YouTube pulls my video, that's erotica. I did a video with Amanda like 4 years ago doing an overview of Karma, and like YouTube like didn't even say it's demonetized; they just yanked it. And
that's the difference right there. How many times Omar has to say, "Oh, can't show that" in a review?
Dude, like, and I'm really careful with like Berserk, like editing things out because I mean, it's not like full out porn, but like there are mature themes. I mean, the opening of Berserk is him with a demon chick, as my buddy Joe likes to say, getting down to business. And I've never said that in my life, by the way. You and Dom are so adorable with your answers.
Oh God! In the chat, I saw that James Abel was saying like romance is like Hallmark Channel, whereas erotica is like HBO and Showtime. I feel like it's a more succinct way of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I can see that. Erotica is more like Skinamax and not Hallmark. That is a good way of putting it.
And just to show how messed up our culture is, I bet you YouTube doesn't give a crap about the violent scenes of Berserk. If you were to show those off.
What is the difference between erotica and bromance? Oh, well, that's a panel onto its own. You know, I need to get on. Whenever I think of erotica and comics, I got to get my buddy Omnidog in the on the stream because
what is this?
I don't know how many times we used to do Omnibros together. How many times he got in trouble for showing a book, and we were like, dude. I think he finally learned his lesson about 5 years ago, but. Oh, somebody! Wait a second now. Hold on a second now. Romance is Stepan Sajic. Erotica is Milo Manara. Got it. Romance is when it takes 30 pages of talking before they get the business, Joe. Erotica is just like get it right to it. First page, second panel. Got it. I did not expect this conversation to be taking place. With the Scott Snyder writing a book with his son. Who brought that up?
I'm sure Scott Snyder saw this clip and he's like, "Oh, they're talking about our comic, Jack."
Scott Snyder. That Dom of X guy said huge fan of Scott Snyder.
I think it was always it was always an instigator who talked about it, and then I told my story about how I saw the sort of 2 books aisle to aisle by Target, and this is how we ended up in that rabbit hole. So
this is always an instigator. Oh, let's chose that name properly. All right, let's move on before we get canceled by saying something stupid. Drive Like Hell.
My buddy Rich Dweck is doing this book along with Alex Cormack. Those two have been doing books for such a long time. 112 pages, $19.99, and this collects the 4-issue series.
I was going to say, I had them, Rich and Alex, on the podcast last year. I read the first issue beforehand. I need to read the rest though, but that was a lot of fun. Like an action-packed car chase, heists of like devil and hell themes, lots of just sort
of. I'm a sucker for car chases in comics because I know how hard they are for artists to draw. So I'm
Why are you talking about erotica with Scott and Sons? Right, I can't. I put Domovex in charge for one day, and this is the kind of stream we get. Sorry,
it wasn't even my fault, man.
Look at him; he's such a politician. He's putting the blame on others. He's like, "Wasn't me, man. It was always an instigator." You go back and check. All right. What's next?
Crime, the EC Archives, Suspense Stories, Volume 3, 216 pages, 1999, including a foreword by David Del Val. Issues 13 through 18 are collected in here.
This is some of the ones I don't own in hardcover, so I've been picking these up.
Yeah, if you want good crime comics, Al Williamson and Johnny Craig, you're gonna get some great ones there.
I'm sorry. It was Partworks that asked. Partworks Comics reader. I'd say sorry, but I'm really not. We know you're not. And continuing the tradition of Erie in trade paperback format, Volume 9. They're cranking these out.
Yeah, they are.
8 through 46. A lot of great stuff in here. This is the black and white stuff, by the way.
Yeah, but it's a great deal because these are magazine-sized trade paperbacks.
Mm-hmm. And the hardcovers that are, some of them are long out of print, are $49.99, while the trades are $24.99.
Yeah, I'm behind on picking these up because I've been pumping them out so fast.
Are those against crime or pro-crime? Well, they're pro-crime at first and then against crime at the end because everybody gets their comeuppance.
They're just desserts.
Exactly. All right, Dom, keep going, buddy.
Rich Dweck is also writing another book called Heart Piercer with Nicholas Borgdorf on the art. This is coming out on December the 17th of this year. This will collect issues 1 through 4, retailing for $19.99, 96 pages.
When he presses bringing back EC, look, yes, they are. I am super excited about the stories they're doing.
Yeah, that first issue just came out.
Is playing Brainiac on Superman and Lois, not Reverse Flash. Breaking news. Thank you for that, buddy. The final season of Superman and Lois. Kill Me and Other Curiosities, Chad Lambert.
$17.99, 80 pages, and this collects Dark Horse Presents short stories selected in certain issues.
Like the Dark Horse Presents from like the 90s, or is this a new Dark Horse Presents?
I believe the new Dark Horse Presents.
I didn't know they brought it back. That's cool.
So those are that.
Maybe they're digital.
We got Magic Order Volume 4 with. So this is where DK Rowan went off to for interiors. Anyways, 184 pages, 1999. And this collects the 4th series of the Magic Order.
And I think the first one's coming out in a library edition soon.
You are correct.
Or at least this year. And what's next?
Up next is Operation Sunshine, Volume 2, Already Dead, by Marcus Parks and Henry Sabrowski. David Rubin on art.
David Rubin. I didn't know he was working on a new series. Every time I read a comic with David Rubin's art, it blows me away.
He's solid. Solid artist.
Next up, we got Slightly Exaggerated by Curtis Clow with all those guys on art. Coming out on December the 3rd. Issues 1 through 4 are going to be collected here.
That is a gorgeous cover. It kind of reminds me of Mobius.
Oh, that is great.
I know nothing of the book, though.
I could see some Mobius inspiration there.
Me as well.
And Yellow
by Jay Martin, 240 pages.
I just recorded my Hidden Gems video this past weekend, and I talked about a Jay Martin story. Solid. I really like his stuff. I mean, he does everything. He does the colors. He does the everything but the lettering.
That's gonna be on an upcoming Hidden Gems.
Yeah. So now I'm excited for this one. I think he was like a music video director or something. Just about to go to bed. Did I miss anything interesting? Yes, you missed all the 5 absolute Harley Quinns we announced.
She missed the conversation earlier. I don't know.
Oh, actually, she might actually. You would have enjoyed that.
The Jack Snyder conversation, we'll call it.
Yeah. Go back and see Partworks question. All right, what's next?
Last but not least, from Dark Horse,
awesome
is Yo Jimbot Volume 1, Metal Silence.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
I like this.
It's also interesting that Stan Sakai has nothing to do with this book. It looks like, as far as like writing or art.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think he has a patent on the name Yojimbo. She probably should have talked to a lawyer.
I thought. Okay, maybe I'm just stupid then. I thought this was kind of like a spinoff, or not a spinoff, but like an Elseworlds tale in the Okay, I'm dumb. I thought this was like a Usagi.
No, you're not dumb. Don't sell yourself short. It's a big. I get it. Yeah, I mean, you see Yojimbo and you immediately think of the bunny rabbit. I get it.
Well, especially when it's like not too distant
Dark
future
Horse.
Japan. Yeah, okay.
I'm starting to think. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Bar. Yeah. So
Proven wrong. And that's all for Dark Horse. Let's go ahead and head over to Image Comics. Last but not least, but I feel like I've said that 5 times already today.
God, Saga. Are we getting a hardcover finally? Maybe.
No.
Son of a
Well,
bitch.
I mean, the Saga comes back this week for like the new arc, and then I think after that, there's enough for a hardcover, for a new hardcover. So that should be fun.
Yeah, so maybe late 2025, we might get another deluxe.
My goodness.
And we will cover here on Near Mint Condition when it comes out. But before then, we've got We Called Them Giants by the very, very epic indie team from Die by Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans.
Cannot wait for this.
You're really a punchline girl, Bar. Man, that's a good one. I'll have to remember that one. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Harley Quinn cartoon, but I know a lot of people are. A lot of people really like him. Who told Omar to read Grimm? I believe that was the Unstoppable Bar. Yeah, I like Die. So I'm excited about this one too. Love Die.
This is awesome.
But this is a hardcover. Is it standard? So they never put their dimensions.
Yeah, they did not put any size dimensions in.
Hope it's deluxe because Die is deluxe. It'd be nice.
It's cool to see them doing. So it's cool to see them doing an OGN instead of like single.
Oh, yeah.
It is, brother. Fear Agent is better.
Whoa, that might be the first time I've seen anyone say Indie League is better than anything that Remender's written.
Has been saying this for like 5 years on my channel.
Oh wow!
He even brought it up. We met like 2 weeks ago in Canada, and he even brought it up then. It's hilarious. He's wrong though. Hello wrong. Still haven't read my Dress Up Darling. No, you gave it to me like in March, man. I gotta wait like a year.
But no, to your point, Joe, I do agree with you in the fact that like I think there's a lot of like some indie creators now who are sort of taking up the Brubaker Phillips-esque type of route to original graphic novel hardcover first to the masses. And I mean, I know that like not every single creator is an instant sell like Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are, but the fact that like, you know, there are people out there trying and all that, like it is cool for them to see and to be able to do this as well.
Yeah, because I know Gillen has that new Image series in singles with Casper Wingard, the power fantasy that starts in a couple of weeks now, which I'm really excited for. So hopefully he can have that pulled and bring those sales in. I've seen a lot of hype for that.
For sure.
I would like to point out that Omar loved everything I sent him. And she's not wrong. She's 2 for 2. She's not wrong.
It's pretty good batting average.
Girl's got some good taste in comics. I don't know about anything else, but she definitely has some good taste in comics. So 2 for 2. Oh my God, yes.
Birthright collected.
I've been waiting 10 years for this damn book. I've been waiting.
Joshua Williamson and Andre Bresson, retailing for $59.99. This collects the first 25 issues.
And this ran for 50 issues, so we're looking at 2 books probably.
I've never read this, so maybe
man, it's solid.
I haven't been waiting as long as Omar, but when I first saw the series, I had been waiting for a hardcover version before I dive into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited. First 25 issues too. Oh, and there it is, Creepshow in Deluxe
Deluxe
The
edition.
new Creepshow.
1. We've got the regular cover right here, and this is the direct market cover. This is retailing for $39.99, and this collects the first 2 series.
Oh, all 10 issues. Oh, I've been waiting to dive into this because this came back. This is Creepshow is like a comic from the 90s. It's like Stephen King and Bernie Wrightson, I think.
Yeah.
Not really. It was a comic book that it was because of the movies, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they made a comic book adaptation of the movies. When I was a kid, my school library had it, and they had it library bound. And I wasn't a good kid. I was I was trying to get that out of that library somewhere or another, but they installed a new alarm system and tagged all the books. I was like, damn it, now I can't get it. Because I had never seen a hard copy of it, and it is available in softcover, the original Creepshow comic. That's of course it's just an adaptation of the movies. This, on the other hand, is brand new stories in the style of like EC Comics.
Yeah, like
and
a horror
anthology.
anthology, which I've heard a lot of good things about this.
Some are very good, some are very, very dull. So it's very hit and miss. And honest, I was shocked by some of the creators whose stories were very dull, because I happen to like a lot of the other stuff they've written, and it just surprised me that they can't write horror. But then it goes to show you that not everybody can write horror. And then some of the stories were damn good. Like, I was like, oh, that stayed with me. That was good. There was also a one-shot too that they did. I don't think it's collected in here. So this is just the first 10 issues.
The first
is that
two
what
series.
It says book 1, so I'm assuming this is like an
good.
ongoing thing.
This kind of stuff for me should always continue. I'm a big fan of anthologies. Yes.
Oh yeah, and horror anthologies too. Just like the tradition since EC Comics has been rich in comics.
Somebody should always publish horror anthologies.
I agree, and it's a great way. Anthologies in general in comics are a great way to learn about new up and coming creators. I kind of wish Marvel would bring back like a Marvel Comics Presents and that kind of thing to have a way for people to get tryouts type deal.
Because I think the way that a lot of Marvel does it anyways, you have like anthology series for specific franchises like Spider Society or Spider-Verse, where
that's true.
upstart people get their way in there. So it's weird. It's evolved into a weird sense, but again, this is available.
I know, like DC. So I know, like DC on the Batman side had like the Urban Legends, and then the Brave and Bold anthologies, so like Gotham characters.
Oh yeah. So it's evolved into an interesting form manner, but like I said, this is $39.99, coming out in October 30th. So that's coming out all in there. And the big one for Massiverse fans and me included, Radiant Black, Massive Edition Book 1, first deluxe edition collecting issues 1 through 12 of the ongoing, as well as a remastered edition of issue number 11 with 30 pages of brand new exclusive back matter. This is coming out on the 23rd of October, and it's retailing for $44.99. And you better believe I will be there when this comes out.
How up to date are you on the Massiverse, Dom?
I think Joe's gotten farther than me. I haven't gotten to the crossover. You know, Joe, where it splits off between the regular and the 0.5.
That's what I was gonna say, because I've only read the first trade of Radiant Black. I've been waiting for hardcovers. But when they get to that point, it's going to be really interesting how they collect that, because they've now gotten to the point where they veer off and there's like 2 alternate timelines of events where like it's very confusing. The way my friend was, Connor was explaining it to me, like where one side is like this version of events of the same story, and this one's like a multiverse version. I don't know. It sounded very confusing.
I think, to be honest, I think the description of how that works through the grapevine makes it sound more complicated than it actually is when you read it. Basically, because, and it's hard to say without spoiling too much, but like there's sort of 2 main characters in the series, and the concept of like the latest story arc and the Catalyst War, where it splits off into the, like I said, like issue 28 and issue 28.5, is that one side follows one of the main characters, like story through the event, and then the other side is like the other character's perspective. So it's sort of like both sides of the coin.
It is. Oh, go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna say I haven't read the latest issue. I think it was like 29 and 29.5. But apparently,
way ahead.
It's going to converge. But yeah, I've been keeping up with it. I like read it since it's started, and it's been a lot of fun and really cool series. Doing a lot of innovative things like with the medium, like well, I guess I don't want to spoil if you haven't read it, but there's a lot of really cool things that you come across that is like really unique, and I hope that people who've been waiting for a hardcover do show up
I was very lucky. Like, Image
sorry.
sent me the
Um,
first trade of this and the first comic, and I really enjoyed it. It's very Power Ranger-y, like in the way that it's written. And man, Joe, you are up to date. You really like the Massive Verse, don't you?
well, I haven't read some of the spin-offs. I think I've only read like the first arc of Rogue Sun and a bit of a couple of the others, but Radiant Black, yeah, I have been keeping up with, and I do hope that people who have been waiting for the hardcover like show up and make it sell, because I know that there's like a whole like Radiant Black Discord there's a Radiant Black podcast as well that people started when the comic started, and they talk about every issue. And then
for that,
they
what's
started a Discord with the creators in, and then
what would you say is your favorite series that has spun out of this? Has any of them surpassed Radiant Black, like Inferno Girl? Has any of them, like, to you, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than the original series?
I haven't read Inferno Girl. That's the one I haven't read any of it yet. But I mean, Rogue Sun sort of takes a more like fantasy, almost medieval kind of route to it, which is cool. I still prefer Radiant Black, but that was still good. I mean, I only read a few issues of the Dead Lucky. Again, that was sort of different again. I think Radiant Black's still my favorite out of the ones that I read, but I haven't read too much of the other spin-offs. I need to read more of them, but yeah, more than some people. So I know the team was sort of very skeptical for a while of doing this hardcovers, because obviously for these creator-owned titles they can be expensive. So I hope they do sell for them.
Man, that was a really deep dive. That's awesome, man. I can't wait to read it, because I really enjoyed the first trade, and I wanted to read more, but it was another one of those things like Birthright. I'm like, oh, surely this will get a hardcover treatment one day. And then, luckily for me, it didn't take as long as Birthright. I think it only took 4 years to get the first hardcover, but here we are.
Well, it's a Skybound Image series, so the marketing machine of Robert Kirkman's behind this, which is great.
Oh, this is Skybound?
Yeah.
Sure?
No.
I thought it was its own thing. No, it's its own
Birthright,
thing.
I think, was
Skybound. Birthright is Skybound.
Just normal
But
sure? I thought Radiant Black was Skybound.
Radiant Black is
No.
its own separate.
Yeah, it's like its own thing. It's like all Kyle's thing with his friends.
Black market narrative.
Yeah. Massive Verse is owned by Kyle Higgins and the creators who.
And I'm sure the chat will let us know too. Somebody, James, you still there? Can you Google that real quick? All right, let's keep going.
I will say real quick, Omar, for Inferno Girl Red, I think that has the overall best art of the bunch, just because Erica.
I did love the art in that. Yes,
that art just looks incredible. That's how to read it.
Ooh, I'm stoked for this one.
For the last hardcover is Universal Monsters Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives. Hardcover by Dan Waters and Ram V, Matthew Roberts, Dave Stewart, and Trish Mulvihill on arts and colors. This is $24.99, and this collects Universal Monsters Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I did not see this coming. Dan Waters, Matthew Roberts, Dave Stewart. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm almost certain this is Skybound. I think Skybound has.
Yes,
they have the Universal Monsters license right now.
Yeah, because I know I need to read the Dracula one with Tynion.
Yeah, the Dracula one that has James Tynion and the Department of Truth guy, Martin Simmons and James Tynion.
Absolutely. And that is it for the hardcovers. Let's go ahead and get into the trade paperbacks. The first, Ascender Compendium. Man, I have not read much Jeff Lemire, but I absolutely loved Descender and Ascender back to back on the forefront. Now we're getting Ascender in Compendium issues 1 through 18, $29.99.
Yeah, I read the Descender Compendium when it came out recently and loved it.
Oh, I agree.
For this.
I agree. Continuing on. Cabinet trade paperback by Jordan Hart, David Abeltoft, and Chiara Raimondi. Collects the Cabinet issues 1 through 5 at $16.99. I don't think I've ever heard of this before. I'm not gonna lie. Continuing on from the set, we got The Deviant, Volume 1, a James Tynan production with Joshua Hickson and art. Hannibal Lecter meets Silent Night, Deadly Night in this 4-issue miniseries, coming in at $16.99.
This is supposed to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read it, but
yes, Stan Waters is the one taking over Dick Grayson right after the Tom Taylor finale to Nightwing. Very excited for what he's got in that series. Super underrated writer, in my opinion, too. I don't think he's.
I'm excited about Deviant. Tynion's one of these guys that just, to me, I don't think I've read a book by him that I mean, some of the issues in his Detective Comics run, I have issues with. But I mean, when somebody has a run that long, I always have issues with a few of the comics. So I'm excited about this one.
And I hate to do this, but I actually have to get out of here.
Yeah, man.
So I'm going to exit the stream. But thank you guys for having me on. I enjoyed this. I'll be back next month.
Hey, it's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thank you, Taylor.
And everyone subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But have a good one, guys.
That is Taylor Talks Comics.
I'll see you guys later.
Be good, man.
Like,
Take care, Tay.
Man, I hate that guy. I was
Yeah,
so
me
glad. Yes, Dom's in on the joke. By the way, Joe, I do that to every one of my guests that leaves early, no matter who it is. I think Curtis gets the biggest one because he has left my stream so early sometimes. Drawing Blood. What is this?
Drawing Blood, which is part of the. I actually have no idea what this is, but this does have an interesting synopsis with a comic book writer trying to scrap up as much stuff to figure out how to beat some mobsters. This collects issues 1 through 4 and the 32-page rearranged Ronin Ragdoll's origin comic at $19.99.
I think from what I've heard, I haven't read it, but from what I've heard, it's almost like a satirized, more fantastical version of like Kevin Eastman's early days, maybe.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, sounded fun, but I haven't heard too much about it.
I might have to check this out then. That sounds cool. And the big one for continuing people who want to collect the compendiums and all of those old collected editions, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero Compendium, Book 1, trade paperback, $64.99, which collects the first 50 issues of G.I. Joe. So for all the people who aren't getting the hardcovers via Kickstarter, this is the way to go for G.I. Joe. And of course, these two covers by Andy Kubert. You have the main one here on the left, and the right one here on the right, or DM one here on the right, $64.99.
So really quick, if you these are compendiums, so they are soft covers. We know that the Kickstarter is done, but retailers were able to get retailer copies at a cheaper cost, which I know sucks. And I'm sorry, but that's just, I don't make the rules. I just tell the information. So you should be able to get it from your favorite retailer if they were able to order on time, because I think they just opened and it worked really weird. I can tell you the behind the scenes of how it worked on how people could get it, and I'm like, that is, yeah, whatever. It's almost like a put a down payment down and then they open the door. But Cheap Graphic Novels is the only place that actually has all the bells and whistles. Like somehow they worked out a deal with Skybound to get every single one of the Kickstarter goodies. So if you order through them, they have all the Kickstarter goodies too. So if you're interested in the Kickstarter hardcover route, but these are the softcover editions.
Absolutely.
And
So
what's next, Dom?
Information on that. Another compendium, Scary Godmother. This Was Your Childhood by Jill Thompson, $39.99 for the entire Scary Godmother comic book.
Yeah, this was published at one time by DC. And
You would be correct.
now over at Image Comics because it is creator owned.
Speaking of another creator-owned story, if you guys haven't had the hardcover yet, honestly, I have the hardcover. Beautiful book, 7 to Eternity by Rick Remender, Jerome Opeña. Entire 17-issue series is collected in here for $34.99.
I have the hardcover as well. Absolutely phenomenal art.
Oh yeah, phenomenal book. I agree. All fronts. Continuing on, we have the I Hate Fairyland trade paperback, volume 7. In the meantime, continuing Scotty Young's very violent rebranding of Alice in Wonderland. $16.99 right here. Impact Winter trade paperback, Travis Beacom, uncovering the origins of the audio series from Audible. This collects Impact Winter 1, Rook 1, and Eventfall 1, $16.99.
Scary Godmother was my child. That's what I thought he was saying. I was like, are you insulting me, sir? First of all, I was a little too old for Scary Godmother, but that's okay. Something Epic. Have you all read
Something Epic by Szymon Kudranski, friend of Joe and I's very own League of Comic Geeks person. So this is $16.99. Something Epic 8 through 12 is collected in here.
I've heard a lot of good things about this one, so I didn't know if you all had read it or not.
I read the first arc, which was the first 7 issues, and it was really good. And then I haven't read the second arc, but really like sort of that like photorealistic kind of artwork and the sort of mystical aspect to it. It's a really interesting series about like imagination and storytelling, and yeah, it was really cool. I need to read more.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Saint Mercy Godland by John Zor Platten. This collects the 4-issue miniseries, $16.99.
Okay.
And that's it.
That's it. Okay. Well,
there.
What's the book that caught your attention here? For me, it's Birthright, by the way. Like, I've been waiting for that book for so many years. And anybody in the chat, what's the one book that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this? Joe, why don't you go first, buddy? Even though I did. My bad. That's on me. Sorry about that.
I think probably that Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans, but We Called Them Giants or something.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I think there's also generally, I noticed quite a few sort of trades of things like to pick up. Like I know I Heart Skull Crusher is like a lot of fun and I have good things about that. So sort of various trades and things, but yeah, that We Called Them Giants is like a day one purchase for me. Very excited for that.
What about you, buddy? Dom of X?
I think Radiant Black, year 1, massive edition. Just in the case of the fact I'll finally be able to have all of it in oversized, because I have the graphic novel or the Kickstarter only graphic novel for Inferno Girl Red. I'd like to continue collecting the entire universe that they have planted and created, all in oversized at some point.
Yeah, so have you read some of the Radiant Black already then? Because I wasn't sure if you were waiting for the hardcover, but it sounded like you
I
read
was.
some of it, so that's cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I will be picking up the hardcover. Underheist by Lapham. Birthright, definitely going to give Radiant Black a go. It is really cool to see creators take their books and getting published elsewhere, though. So, at this time, I just want to thank my wonderful, well, I can't even call him, well, I guess co-host, my wonderful co-host, Dom of X, and you can find all of these out here in the Comic Releases website. And Dom, what else do you do?
So I also work for Omar on Near Mint. If it's a thumbnail, if it's a video, if it's something, there is a good possibility that I have worked on it. But you can find me out on my YouTube channel at Dom of X, where I'm trying to do as many daily uploads as possible. I recently did a video on everything SDCC related for announcements, new comics, etc. Would you love you guys to check it out? I had a lot of fun editing and creating that video, and all of my socials at Dom of X Studio. So you can find me there.
And what about you, Joe Loves Comics? Where can people find you? And thank you for being here today.
Yeah, and you can find me on Instagram at Joe Loves Comics, where I'm just posting my like single issue reviews and all sorts of comics that I'm been reading. And of course, yes, for the podcast on Twitter, you can find any news related to that. And then of course the Joe Talks Comics podcast on places like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, the usual places where anything from like creator interviews or just general comics conversation or conversation about specific comics. And talking comics is always good fun. And so yeah, thank you again, Dom, for inviting me on, and Omar for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. You are always welcome. And everybody, that's it for us. Check out cheapgraphicnovels.com, our sponsor here in America. Books up to 50% off. And also waltzcomicshop.com, our sponsor in the EU. But tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way for free shipping on your next order after your first one. That's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe. Smash that like button on the way out. Dom, do us the honors. End that stream, baby.
That's it, all you Minties. Stay fresh, stay up to date, and take care, stay safe, and everything else. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.